Welcome to another video from Dr. Lock. A couple of days ago I did a video on this nice little zoomy lens where the light comes on, and it was ideally meant to be a key reader where I could just stitch the pick needle in the front there and actually use it for reading keys. It was a complete fail, so my $8 or $6 whatever it was investment was no good in that regard, but I did find it was excellent for using for impressioning. So that one we put aside there. I did have a quick look at this cheap boroscope here, and that one there as well I had mixed emotions about. Didn't seem to be really suiting my needs. But I did lash out, and I bought a couple of different scopes, so I'm going to be trying them as we go and see if I can adapt them. So eventually I'll probably get it right. This one here, Visual Earwax Clean Tool, and in HD. So sounds exciting, sounds disgusting about what we'll be looking at, but I'm not going to be sticking it in my ear or any other orifice on my body. What we're going to be doing is sticking it in locks, so we're only looking at it like that. So it's not going to be as disgusting as what everyone else is doing. I mean, putting it in your ear is just, ugh. I mean, who wants to see a close-up in high definition of that? I mean, it's different if, you know, a kid sticks something in their ear and you want to try and fish it out, but by the time the delivery arrives, it's probably going to be too late. So these are the two little ear cleaning wax things where you can scoop and build up some sort of amount to be removed. There's two of them. So there's two of them, and it comes with a little rag, a little bit of silicone rubbery thing here, a little cap for the front of the scope, a 90-degree screw-on little mirror, which is cool. We won't be using that. Sort of like a sleeve that accommodates this little wire on the side there. I don't think we'll be using that either. It comes with two of them, and it also comes with a little tip with like a little scoopy grabby thing on there too, which is not necessary at this stage. So we're not going to be using it for cleaning ears or anything like that. So we're going to put them all aside. Now let's have a look at the product itself. First thing I noticed about it was, has the USB here, but if you want to do it on your phone, you just flick this little thing forward. Flick this little thing forward, and you've got micro USB, so it's suitable for the Android. Flick it back, suitable for the computer. And if you've got a new Android and you've got this bigger plug here, you simply slide that over the top, and there you have all three of them. So that's pretty cool about that. I've tried it on the mobile phone, simply plugged it in, opened up a boroscope app, and away we went. I'll be giving you some footage on that later on. So here's where we start. We have a shaft here. This is like 5mm. I needed to buy some sort of coupler. Now, this coupler here I found here, which also has the 5mm. Okay, so we have a 5mm shaft here, and I need something to be able to hold the tip or the needle so that I can actually put it in the lock, look down it, and decode it. So I came up with this. This is some sort of, I don't know the exact term, but it's used for motors, and it's some sort of torque conversion of some description or a startup. And basically the engineering involved in this is huge. It's a piece of aluminium, solid aluminium, and it's actually been sliced on both sides here with some grub screws, and that will suit my need just perfect, because I can put that in there, widen it, file it, and get it to actually hold in, and I can tighten it to squeeze it to hold it in there. Now this only cost me about $6, but the amount of work that's gone in this is almost like a spring. And well, it is a spring actually. It's been cut with a laser all the way around here, and I can actually squeeze it. See that? I can actually squeeze it. The amount of movement in it's like nothing, so it'll be just fine for my purposes. So I bought that one to try and put a needle on the front of this scope. If not, I've got this one here, which is once again a DC motor drive, and it will need a little bit of drilling out, and you know, I might have to modify it to actually get this needle on there, or custom make a needle. So I might just tuck this one aside for now and probably look at this bigger one. Although it's big, it really doesn't make much difference. It's about holding that needle in the right spot. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to drill it, remove the grub screws, drill it through so I can put my scope in, and then I'm going to mount this needle on one side of it, turn it on the phone, and see if we get any sort of good reading from it, or see what the focal point is looking like when we look down a cylinder. Alright, so let's get to that. Okay, so we've just drilled it out. Now, it was 5.5, I used a 5.56 and I used a 5.5 drill, so I had to do, basically just do a little bit of hand drilling there. There's a taper on here, right on this edge, which actually works really well, and I can kind of just thread it onto the last bit of this, I don't know what you call it, coupler. Now, on this side here, we've got about almost 6 mil, so it goes in there quite nicely with a little bit of a mill to play with. On this side here, it actually comes down smaller than this diameter on this shaft. So now that I've drilled it out, it's a simple matter of putting it all the way in there and just giving it a twist, and it's actually threading itself onto this coupler. So that's really good because it's like a nice solid fit now, and I can tighten it all the way down, and I'm not sure if you can see it there, but the lens is not far. It's like a couple of millimeters. So the focal length on this isn't very good, so the closer we get, the better it's going to be. So we don't want to lose too much space here. If I have to, I can hit this on a lathe and turn it down. Hopefully I won't have to, because I want to set the lathe up. Anyway, so that's that step. Now let's see if we can adapt a needle to the end of it. So I'm just going to take it back off the scope because I don't want the scope to get broken, but we've paired those two up now, so I'm happy with that. Take that out of the way. This is the needle. I'm using a pick gun needle here, standard pick gun needle, and I'm just looking for the best side to actually put it on. Probably this side here, because it has a clamping action here. It also has a drive, grub screw for the drive, but I mean it's not going to be used as a drive anymore, so let's see if we can back this off and see if we can actually get a... my Allen key is too small. Okay, so I've given it a hit with a hammer, I've straightened it, and I've flattened out that end a bit, so we should be right now. Now our lens comes through about here, and ideally we want this needle to actually be coming sort of into the view of the scope. That way we can kind of see exactly where it's lifting. So when we're into the lock like this, and we're lifting up, we kind of want to be able to see this line here. So what that means is I might need to actually modify this needle a little bit to accommodate that. At the moment I can put it in there, but it's going to be on somewhat of an angle like that, and I don't know if that's actually going to work. So I'm going to grab myself an Allen key, remove that, and then see if I can get a repositioning on that needle there. I might even need to actually modify this leg right here, cut that off, and then clamp it using the rest of the material here. So let's grab an Allen key and see how that works. Okay, so I've removed the leg and given it a bit of a grind there. Let's see if that's any more suitable. I can still see it's a bit long there, so I'm going to need to just chop that down just a fraction more. Here we go, let's use pliers. Okay, let's check that now. It's looking better, looking better. I still think this is too long. Okay, so that's what we're left with now. Okay, I like that more. I like that a lot more. Now we are into the circle here, so for this to be straight in there, that's how much we're into the circle, if you can see that. I'm not sure if you can. Let me zoom it in. See that? We're probably about that far in. Okay, so slightly more modification. Now the way this is going to be working is, if you can see that, the scope's basically going to be sitting about there. That's better, I'll show you like that. The scope's going to kind of be sitting there. So we still have yet to put one little hole in, or a little notch, most likely about here. And then we'll be able to put the clamp on, put it on the front, and see how it works. Okay, so we're getting closer and closer. That's our shape now. Pretty funky looking shape. We've got the scope mounted already into the into the coupling. I've just taken out that lunk to allow us to put this screw back in. This should also work as holding the needle in place as well, so when it gets downwards pressure it's going to be hitting hard up against this screw. So I'm going to tighten that one up tight. I'm going to test my needle. Oh yeah, hear that? That looks good. Okay, now I haven't sharpened the needle or anything like that, and it's purely just a reader. This coupling really gives me a good hand grip on that, and I like that because it's a good size. Now I'm just going to go through. I might actually need to shorten my needle to increase my visibility. If I was to shorten my needle, it's coming right out the back. So this is a 6-pin cylinder. I could possibly say that I could shorten it to about there. About there. If I shorten it, I'm going to lose the ability to do some automotive locks and things along those lines, but I'm pretty much going to be using this for domestic mostly, so I'm going to go with shortening it. And once you shorten, you can't unshorten it. Okay, back again for the 10th time, 10th interruption. It's a difficult project, this one. So I've just shortened the needle on it. It would be nice to possibly put a little ramp on that, which I might just actually do, just to make it a little bit nicer when it goes into the locks. It's in there solid, I'm happy. I mean, I could even tighten this one in as well if need be. But until we kind of see exactly what it's doing with the camera, there's probably no need to tighten. But tighten there, tighten there, tighten there, that way none of the screws fall out. So there we have it, it's made. Now let's see what it does. Okay, so I'm using this USB camera module here, and basically it's just one of the free ones you download. So I can shine it there. First thing I'm noticing with, I'll leave it there so you can kind of see it. First thing I'm noticing with this one here is it actually has an LED in there, and that's controllable. So you can see the reflection. Here, can you see the reflection? Up, down, up, down, up, down. That's my hand. I don't know what that skin looking thing is. There's no button here, but we can simply push the record button here as needed. So what we might do is I might record this, and there is no focal on this. What you get is what you get. So the way I'd like to use this is I'd like to put this into a lock, and I've got an upside down here PD cylinder. So let's see if we can get this to work now. I'm getting a bit more clarity there, so that's pretty cool. Getting all the way to the back. Okay, and once again I've got no light where I want it. Oh yeah, there we go. I can see that last one. I can see that one there. And I can gauge via the broaching on the plug. I can see that one there. See that one there. See that one there. Okay, so all in all, that's quite good. I really should be putting a point here so I can push into the pin to see if it's less than 1 to 4 in height. Because if you put a little point here and you can push into the pin and get between the driver pin and the bottom pin, you know that you've got a pin that's less than 4. Okay, so far it is getting some sort of light down the back of which I'm reasonably happy with. I really should have an additional light source going into it, but so you can see that there. I'll be putting the footage as well on the screen, so we won't really be using this for pin tumbler locks most of the time. It will mainly be for disc locks, T-handle locks and things along those lines. So I think we now give that a go and see what that looks like. Okay, so I've got my little LED key reader going again. Now the reason I made this one is because there are other ones available on the market. They costed a couple of $100. This one here was only a $10 one, and the coupling another $5 and a little bit of my time. So I'm going to put this right over here so you can kind of see it. And now I'm going to be testing out just a cyber lock, a CC lock, and I'm going to see what type of read and what I can get with that as well. and I'll put it on screen. I'll record that as well. Now let's have a little look and see how it looks. You'll be able to see the screen. I'm getting a very good clarity on one side. Now these are double-sided, so it's not. Look at that. That is a nice view. That is a very nice view. Okay, so there's half the equation. Let's go to the other side. We're pushing these down. This is an old lock. So where we want to actually see is about here, but of course I can't see it because they've got some silly camera logo in the way there, which is a little bit annoying. And if I can, there we go, that's better. So the needle's definitely taking the pressure quite well. I've got a lot of stability on pulling it backwards and forwards. My clarity range, if you look at that, I could just about, I can read the numbers on the wafers almost, you know, over this side. So I'm pretty impressed with that. It's the clarity that you would need, at least this type of clarity. So I'm pushing them all down. 1, 2. So I'm happy with that. I mean, this is the type of lock, it's much easier to make the key from the code, but we're actually just testing it to see, you know, how it actually works on wafer locks. Same with this one, it has a code. But the problem is, if this was mounted in a drawer and there's another table like about here, how are you going to get a key scope in there, which is probably 100mm, plus your head, which is probably another 300mm, and get that right angle to be able to look down the barrel of it and get that right little bit of light where you need it to be able to read those wafers? That's where this is, the idea of this comes in, because that way you only need, if you measure this in length, in front of a lock you need less than 300mm, and you could, sorry, less than 300mm, and you can get right down the back. And look at that clarity. I'm happy with that. See if we can scoop this one properly. Okay, bit all over the place here on this read, but let's go. So I'm going to push right down the back there. Am I reading this the right way? Definitely can't go up that way. Definitely has to be this way. Haven't got the feel for this yet. Maybe I should turn it around this way so that way we can see which way the discs are going. So if I'm going that way, let's just turn this around this way. Okay, that will look better on camera. Okay, what have we got down the back there? Ooh, hard to see, maybe a 1. Okay, so the way these keys work is they've got wafers that have 2 sides to them, a left and a right. So we have to read the right one, otherwise we're going to be ending up making the master key. And that's not what we want. So the one that we want is on the side on the right. So that's quite a large disc, that's got to be a 3. Just pulling it back and working it. Okay, now I've got that one there. A bit hard to see, but that disc there is 2. Another 2. 3. So 3, 2, 2, 3. 3. Okay. Now let's just check if I was right. Here's our key here. 3, 3, 2, 1, 3. Okay, so I was not right. Let's try that again. I like that clarity. That clarity looks good. Now I've got to go down the right side of the lock there. Let's look for a 3. So what we're doing here is, if you can see this notch right here and the distance from here to here, we need to gauge them using that. Okay, so that's a 3. So that basically goes, if that's a 3, that's doesn't look like a 3 to me. Doesn't look like a 3 to me on that angle. Okay, so that's a 3, it almost touches that circle down the back. Okay, that one is quite high, very hard to define. I'd be saying a 2. Okay, 3. Okay. Those front 2 discs, yeah, so we've got a 3 and a 1 and a 2. 3. Okay, that's a 1, but very hard to decipher that as a 1. A lot of the time the discs are actually from left to right. These ones are a little bit harder because they're half discs, if you can see them. See those discs? You got the left side and the right side. A lot of the time they're actually solid across the board, and that's what makes it a little bit easier just to read. Okay, so we've had a look at a cam lock there. That seems to be a reasonable pass. Let's have a look at a car lock now. So we'll just dig that in there. Not sure what I'm going to be expecting in here, but not even sure if I'm going to get a read. Maybe I might even need some sort of dust cap cover to keep that out of the way. These ones here didn't fit. I just want to get a bit of an idea. Okay, so to read this one, we'll need to be on that side, and we're getting nothing. That dust cap's definitely in the way. So we can just take that dust cap out of the way. See, anything I put in there is going to be a pain in the butt because it's going to be in the way. Alright, let's see if we can get ourselves a tension tool. Tension tool might be the little secret. That's fairly level. Okay, this is the side we want. This is a bit like dentistry, isn't it? Okay, so looking down the back here, now I can see what we're looking at is right in the middle there. Hang on, let's record this. We're recording all along. We'll just do a more recording, and I wonder if we can make that bigger too. We can zoom it in a bit. Alright, here we go. So you can play along at home if you want and try and decode this. 1, 2, 3 or 4. Ooh, that's a toughie. That's a toughie. Let's look at the others before we start giving them names. And they're pretty dirty down there too. That one's a little bit bigger than last, so if that was a 2, that'll be a 3. Looks like a 3 as well. Oh geez, and that's a 4. Okay, so how many discs we got on this side here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so here we go. Let's read it. We've played around enough. Let's say that's a 2, or we could even go 1, 2, 2, 4. 1, 2, 2, 4. Okay, now were we right? Were we wrong? Let's have a look at the key. How much of this? 1, 2, 2, 4. No, it looks like it is a 2, 2, 3, 1. What could be 4? I'd actually have to find out how many depths are actually in this lock. Off the top of my head, I don't recall. Let's try the other side now. So this particular tool would be used in certain circumstances. It wouldn't solve every problem. Like, you could either cut it by code, pull the lock apart, use the number on the side, use a lishy tool, many different options. But it's just another tool, and it's just another idea for, you know, maybe if you do have bad eyesight, is there something that can kind of help you? And that's the whole idea behind this. Rather than spending $200-300, I wanted to put this one together to see how practical and how good it actually is. On saying that, it's a tool that is handy, but I'm not sure how practical it's going to be decoding of locks. Locks like this now, the pin tumbler ones, I find the lishy tool works so good that I would never use anything else. Once again, automotive locks, lishy tool works very good. So key reading is going to really be put down to times when you're doing a wafer lock of some description. It doesn't have a number on the front, and it's easier to read than pull apart, such as a T-handle. So for that example, yes, it will be good for that. It's not going to hurt to have in the car. It's very small. A lot of the time you get better wafer locks, and this was a bad example where you've got wafers that are actually, you know, on both sides. But what I do notice here, I'll just go back to if you look at that image, that's got some really good clarity, and I'm happy with that. So we zoom in. I mean, it's not 1080p, but it's like 700, and you're getting all that 700. That's with it zoomed in. So that's the first disc. Anyone want to take a guess at that one? Let's do that again. The camera stopped. We'll start from the beginning again. Okay, see if you can read this. We're in another code, but see if you can look at the image and read it and tell me what you think. First disc is away. That's the first disc there. You can also use colors of this too. So I'm looking at that, and I'm looking, if we're looking on this left side here, I would be saying that's a 3-1, 313, 313. Oh, that's huge, so it's got to be a 3. And when you see something that big, it puts the other ones in question too. 3. So 331. So I was off here. If you can see the thing, I'll show you here. Look at that. Can I focus on the key with my scope? Kind of. Anyway, so I wasn't exactly right with the decoding of that. The actual angle, the light, things along those lines could be a little bit better. Our needle now does have a little bit of movement in it too, so I'll have to adjust that. Anyway, that's the new scope that I built. If you want to build one of these, you can buy the parts from eBay. This is a visual ear cleaner. This is just a 6 or 5 mil motor DC stepper motor coupler, and it's just a pick gun needle at the end. If you want to make one, if you want to leave any comments, leave your comments. Maybe you can think of another use where this would be good and used for in the locksmithing industry. Leave it down below, I'd like to know. And thanks for watching.